Been working on my Trump. It's a lot of great people. Lots of great people on both sides. Excuse me. Great people on both sides. Lots of great people on both sides. I know Harry. He's a great person. He couldn't vote for me at the time. Now he can vote for me once he gets out.
Comedy has always been how we process political chaos. When things get crazy in Washington, we need comedians to help us laugh through the madness.
Excuse me. Fake reviews. Fake reviews. Fake reviews.
Trump fans are having an absolute meltdown over Jamie Foxx's impression, but here's what they're missing. So if you're feeling stressed about politics lately, stick around. This video might be the therapy session you didn't know you needed. The problem isn't Jamie Foxx doing a spot-on Trump impression with those pouty lips and weird hand gestures. The problem is treating comedy like it's a real political threat. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Now back to the video.
I love Snoop D.O. Double G, great person.
So do you love Death Row Records?
I love Death Row. I love Death. Excuse me.
God, look out for
They
you.
tried to give me the virus. I beat the virus. Excuse me. Excuse me. Fake news. Death Row Records. Don't try to pin me down. I see what he just. Excuse me.
Fake news.
Excuse me.
Fake news.
Fake news.
What's your favorite Death Row record, Mr. Trump?
All of them.
His Trump impression wasn't just good, it was unnervingly accurate, like he'd been secretly studying Trump's every move from a bush outside Mar-a-Lago. Jamie Foxx just committed the most convincing identity theft in comedy history, and MAGA world is absolutely losing it. Most impersonators get the voice kind of right, but miss the physical details that make Trump, well, Trump. While plenty of comedians have tried their hand at Trump impressions over the years, Foxx brought something special to the table. Foxx nailed the signature pouty lips that Trump makes when he's trying to appear serious or thoughtful. He perfected those squinty eyes that narrow whenever a question gets too challenging. Foxx, however, transformed himself so completely you'd think Trump's spirit temporarily possessed his body. What made his impression stand out was the attention to those specific quirks that define Trump's public persona. The verbal accuracy was just as impressive. Foxx threw in those classic Trumpisms like "a lot of great people on both sides," and my personal favorite, the dismissive "excuse me fake news" hands. Oh, those hands. Foxx somehow replicated those bizarre floating hand gestures that seem to operate independently from Trump's brain. What really set Foxx's impression apart was his mastery of Trump's unique speaking pattern. You know the one, where sentences start somewhere, wander off like a toddler in a mall, then somehow circle back to praise himself, delivered with that exact same irritated head tilt Trump uses when he's feeling cornered. It wasn't just mimicry, it was a full-body takeover. Even more impressive was Foxx's physical commitment to the bit. He even adopted that weird centaur-like standing posture Trump has. You know, leaning forward like he's wearing invisible high heels, as if he's perpetually about to tip over. Foxx captured that rambling quality perfectly. The way Trump begins a thought about foreign policy and somehow ends up talking about his electoral college victory or the size of his crowd. The audience reaction was the best proof of Foxx's success. Reports from the event describe people absolutely losing it, laughing so hard they were practically wheezing. It's the stance of a man who spent years trying to hide his true body shape under those oversized suits. Even some die-hard Trump supporters couldn't keep a straight face. When your impersonation is so accurate it breaks through partisan walls, you know you've struck comedy gold.
It wasn't that bad.
It was so bad.
A lot of times people say it's bad, but it was actually the best
Jamie,
impersonation of me.
What truly made Foxx's impression transcend mere mimicry was his ability to simultaneously capture both Trump's distinctive speech patterns and physical mannerisms in one seamless performance.
To be honest with you, Stevie Wonder said it was amazing. So do you believe that blind guy or the other blind guy?
You know what? He's a nasty
There's a lot of great people
He's a nasty potato
that I've ever done of me.
Jamie, it was a disaster.
And I wasn't even there.
But listen, you know, honestly, some of the people around, they say, let's not get political, but Jamie Foxx did the worst impression of me that I've ever heard. A terrible chilly scene, how bad.
Most impersonators get one right, but miss the other. Foxx's impression was like watching an alternate reality version of Trump himself. One where the president suddenly developed self-awareness and decided to parody himself. That first tweet was just the beginning of what would become a 3-part nighttime Twitter opera. When a president spends the darkest hours of night firing off increasingly unhinged tweets about a comedian, complete with animal-inspired spelling errors, you know the impression hit a little too close to home for comfort. Trump's obsession with Fox's comedy bit turned into a 4 a.m. social media meltdown that proved even funnier than the impression itself. It all started at 2:17 a.m. Yes, you read that right, when most normal people are fast asleep, but apparently the commander-in-chief was wide awake and furiously tapping away at his phone. The timeline of Trump's digital tantrum tells us everything we need to know about how deeply Fox's impression crawled under his thin orange skin. The third rage-filled message that really showed us a man completely losing his grip on both reality and basic spelling. By 3:45 a.m., Trump was deep into his second angry tweet, and the spelling was getting shakier by the minute. Then came the grand finale at 4:22 a.m. Perhaps the most hilarious part was Trump's description of Fox as a low-energy actor. That's right, the president called an Oscar-winning performer low energy. In this pre-dawn masterpiece, Trump referred to the comedian as Jamie Foxx, like the animal, which is pretty ironic coming from someone who constantly brags about his very big brain and superior genes. It would be like calling Michael Jordan a mediocre basketball player, or Beyonce an average singer. The disconnect between Trump's perception and reality couldn't be more stark, and it only added to the absurdity of his middle-of-the-night meltdown. Desperately trying to end his tweet storm before he could do more damage. It's like a scene from a political comedy that would be considered too ridiculous if it weren't reportedly true. According to inside sources, Trump's staff was frantically trying to wrestle the phone away from him during this episode. Picture the scene: White House aides in pajamas chasing the president around at 4 a.m. Every angry tweet drove thousands more views to the original comedy bit, creating a snowball effect that turned a funny sketch into a national conversation. The irony in all this is that Trump's volcanic reaction only made Fox's impression go even more viral. Trump essentially provided free publicity for the very thing that was making him so angry, a classic example of the Streisand effect in action. This is classic Trump, hinting at legal consequences without fully committing to them. The fact that he was framing a comedy impression as some kind of criminal activity only highlighted how seriously he took what was essentially just a bit of late-night entertainment. And while Trump never explicitly threatened legal action against Fox, his tweets were peppered with phrases like fake news and identity theft that strongly implied he was considering some kind of lawsuit. Like sharks smelling blood in the water, these comedy veterans weren't about to let a viral moment pass them by without taking their own bite. Trump's meltdown was just the beginning. The real comedy explosion happened when every late-night host from Colbert to Kimmel decided to jump into the Fox-Trump pool. The impression that had Trump rage tweeting at 4 a.m. quickly transformed into late-night TV's hottest new game. Stephen Colbert took things to a whole new level by setting up a fake satellite interview with Trump, played by none other than Jamie Foxx himself. In character, Fox's Trump bragged about inventing the entire concept of interviews while claiming that satellite technology was actually based on his hair. Who could create the most ridiculous Fox-Trump content? It wasn't just about copying what Fox did, it became an all-out comedy arms race with each host trying to outdo the others. Because of course Trump would take credit for something invented decades before he was even born. Jimmy Kimmel, not to be outdone, staged what he called a Trump off, putting Jamie Foxx and Alec Baldwin, who famously portrays Trump on SNL, in the same room to battle it out with their Trump impressions. Yes, his hair. The audience was in stitches as Fox's Trump explained how the golden strands were the inspiration for modern communications. The two A-listers went back and forth with increasingly absurd claims about their supposed achievements as the orange president. Viewers at home couldn't decide which was funnier. He tried to impersonate Fox impersonating Trump. One comedy writer described it as like painting a copy of the Mona Lisa while riding a unicycle. Baldwin's well-practiced Trump, or Fox's fresh take on the president's mannerisms. Jimmy Fallon, always eager to show off his own impression skills, attempted something even more meta. These comedy segments weren't just funny, they were massive hits. The bits generated millions of views across platforms as people who missed the original broadcasts caught up online. So the result was bizarre but completely on brand for Fallon's style of comedy that prioritizes silliness over political bite. Social media engagement went through the roof with memes and jokes about Fox's impressions spreading like wildfire. The comedy bit was holding up a mirror to Trump's bizarre behavior, and when his supporters looked in that mirror, they didn't recognize themselves at all. Instead, they saw a vast conspiracy threatening their worldview. In the end, comedy is more than just entertainment. It's society's pressure valve. When politicians and their followers throw tantrums over comedians, they're telling on themselves. Jamie Foxx's impression reminds us that satire isn't just about getting laughs. Experts call it a crucial role in democracy by giving us ways to critique power powerful figures without resorting to violence or despair. So next time some politician melts down over a comedy bit, remember that their reaction is the real punchline. The joke isn't just funny, it's necessary.